Let's talk trade wars. The US and China aren't just having a polite disagreement, they're locked in an industrial death match, throwing tariffs around like confetti at a ticker tape parade. And just like those parades, it's messy, loud, and someone always ends up getting hit with a rogue roll of ticker tape. Or, in this case, crippling economic sanctions. We'll be dissecting everything from the plight of American automakers to the soybean farmers caught in the crossfire. This isn't just about China and the US. It's about the future of the global economy and who gets to call the shots. And spoiler alert, it might be a country that still censors Winnie the Pooh. Buckle up, buttercups, because we're diving headfirst into this economic inferno. Let's start with a sector that's about as American as apple pie, the auto industry. When America sneezes, Detroit catches a cold. Right now, America has a full-blown case of the trade war flu. Remember those tariffs on steel and aluminum? They've blown up in the face of American automakers like a faulty airbag. Steel and aluminum are essential for building cars, and with those tariffs adding a 25% surcharge, production costs have skyrocketed. We're talking billions of dollars in added expenses for companies like Ford and GM, and what happens when costs go up? Prices follow suit faster than a toddler with a stolen cookie. China hasn't just been sitting back, they've retaliated with their own tariffs on US auto exports. This is a double whammy for American automakers already grappling with transitioning to electric vehicles and navigating global semiconductor shortages. It's like trying to assemble a car while riding a unicycle on a tightrope. The million-dollar question is, can American automakers adapt quickly enough to survive this trade war? Or are we witnessing the slow-motion decline of US manufacturing dominance? Because let's be honest, China isn't just playing checkers here, they're playing five-dimensional chess. The situation in the auto industry is more than a blip on the radar, it's a full-blown systemic crisis. The traditional giants, Ford and GM, are like aging boxers trying to relive their glory days. They're swinging wildly, but landing very few punches. And then there's Tesla, the flashy newcomer, the electric car darling that's supposed to be America's saving grace. But even Elon Musk can't escape the realities of this trade war. China represents a massive market for Tesla, and these tariffs are throwing a wrench in their expansion plans. Both the US and China seem to be stuck in a game of economic chicken, each side convinced that the other will swerve first. But while the politicians play their high-stakes poker game, it's the workers, the consumers, and the industries themselves that are feeling the squeeze. Higher prices for cars, potential job losses, and a manufacturing sector teetering on the brink. We live in a globalized world where supply chains are so interconnected that disrupting one link can send shockwaves through the entire system. The auto industry is just one example of how this trade war is playing out, but it's a microcosm of the larger challenges facing the global economy. The question isn't whether the US or China will win this trade war, but whether anyone can truly win in a world increasingly defined by interdependence and uncertainty. It's a recipe for disaster. Let's shift gears to the sleek, shiny world of Silicon Valley. You might think the tech industry would be immune to the ravages of a trade war. But you'd be wrong. Silicon Valley is experiencing a supply chain meltdown of epic proportions, thanks to the trade war. American tech giants are surprisingly reliant on China for, well, pretty much everything. Semiconductors, those tiny chips that power everything from iPhones to Teslas, are primarily manufactured in China. And don't even get me started on lithium-ion batteries, the lifeblood of our smartphones, laptops, and electric vehicles. Slap tariffs on goods from China, and the cost of producing all those shiny tech gadgets skyrockets. Companies like Apple are frantically searching for alternative manufacturing hubs, shifting production to countries like India and Vietnam. But moving an entire supply chain is about as easy as teaching a cat to do your taxes. It's time-consuming, expensive, and there's a good chance you'll end up with more scratches than completed forms. While American tech giants try to MacGyver their way out of this supply chain quagmire, China isn't playing the role of the benevolent bystander. They're playing hardball. China has a virtual monopoly on rare earth minerals, essential for everything from smartphones to high-tech weapons systems. They've started restricting exports of these critical materials, holding the global tech industry hostage. Without a reliable supply of these materials, American tech companies face a bleak future, production slowdowns, skyrocketing costs, and a decline in global competitiveness. The question is, Will this trade war force American tech companies to diversify their supply chains and invest in domestic manufacturing? Or will it mark the beginning of a new era where China dictates the terms of global tech innovation? The future of technological advancement shouldn't be held hostage by geopolitical squabbles. American agriculture, from breadbasket to collateral damage. Let's talk about a group often overlooked in these discussions. American farmers. These are the folks who put food on our tables, who work tirelessly to feed not just our nation but a good chunk of the world. This trade war has been nothing short of a disaster for them. China used to be a massive importer of American agricultural products. Those days are gone. China has retaliated against U.S. tariffs by slapping hefty duties on American agricultural imports. This has crippled exports, leaving farmers with mountains of unsold crops and billions of dollars in losses. But here's the real kicker. China isn't just waiting around for the U.S. to come crawling back. They're actively diversifying their supply chains, forging new agricultural partnerships with countries like Brazil and Argentina. This is a double whammy for American farmers. Not only are they losing their biggest customer, but they're also facing increased competition from other global players. It's like going through a bad breakup and then finding out your ex has already moved on to someone new, richer, and better at farming. The currency war, a dangerous game of financial chess. This economic brawl isn't just playing out in the realm of goods and services, it's spilled over into the world of currency manipulation. China has been playing a clever game with its currency, the yuan. They've been deliberately devaluing it, making their exports cheaper on the global market, and offsetting the impact of U.S. tariffs. Meanwhile, the U.S. dollar has remained stubbornly strong. This makes American goods more expensive for buyers overseas, putting American exporters at a disadvantage. This currency tug-of-war is more than just an economic curiosity. It's a high-stakes geopolitical strategy with the potential to destabilize global markets. If countries start engaging in competitive devaluation, it could trigger a race to the bottom, a currency war where everyone loses. A weaker yuan makes Chinese goods cheaper for American shoppers, which sounds great until you realize it could lead to inflation and a decline in the purchasing power of the US dollar. It's like that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. This isn't just about economic theory, it's about real-world consequences. The stakes are higher than ever. The future of global trade hangs in the balance. A New World Order global trade in flux. As the US and China duke it out, the rest of the world isn't just sitting on the sidelines. Countries like Vietnam, Mexico, and Malaysia are emerging as the unexpected winners in this trade war. They're attracting billions of dollars in foreign investment as companies seek to diversify their supply chains and reduce their reliance on China. These emerging economies are rapidly modernizing their infrastructure, streamlining regulations, and offering attractive incentives to multinational corporations. This shift in global trade flows has the potential to reshape the geopolitical landscape. We're witnessing the rise of new economic powerhouses. Nations that were once relegated to the periphery of the global economy are now stepping into the spotlight. It's a time of both great opportunity and great uncertainty. The old world order with the US at the helm of the global economy is being challenged. The question is, what will replace it? Will it be a more multipolar world with power distributed more evenly among nations? The future of trade, a world transformed. The U.S. China Trade War isn't just some abstract economic theory, it's a real, tangible force reshaping the global economy, impacting industries, livelihoods, and international relations. We're at a crossroads facing a future where the balance of power could shift dramatically. Will the U.S. rise to the challenge, innovating its way out of this predicament and reclaiming its industrial might? Or are we witnessing the dawn of a new economic era, one where China calls the shots and sets the terms of global trade? This is a conversation that's far from over, and we want to hear your thoughts. What do you think the future holds for the U.S. and China? What impact do you think this trade war will have on the global economy? Head down to the comments section and let us know.